And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're going to be taking a look at a deduction game called Lady Alice. Now, what I find interesting is that Lady Alice is the name of a boat which all these people are on. The guilty people all rode a boat called Lady Alice. I don't know why that's the name of the game. It could be called Sherlock Holmes is pretentiously gracious towards people. Basically, this game is Sherlock Holmes is going to solve some case where someone has found something. But you know, he can solve these things in his sleep. So he's brought you along. You're an urchin. Welcome. He brings the urchins in. The rule book even reads that way. He's like, well, you know, I figured this out, but you guys, I'm going to let you try to figure it out together. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to be the person who figures it out. Let me show you. First, let's talk about a four-player game. There are four different things that you're trying to figure out about the crime. You're trying to figure out what time it happened. You're trying to figure out the location of it. You're trying to find out what was stolen in the crime. And you're trying to figure out who the responsible person is. There is a deck of cards for each category. And so each of those decks is shuffled. And one card is taken from each of the decks. Those four cards then are mixed up and one is given to each player. So let's say, for example, I get Samuel White Baker. I know that he is the guilty party, but I don't know anything else. Each player also gets a big token to show what color they are, and they get 9 smaller tokens that are numbered from 0 to 2, 3 of each. Now, when it's my turn, I'm going to take this book here, and in this book there's flip cards that show all the different possibilities. So I say, for example, I think it was Mary Kingsley in Trafalgar Square at 7 o'clock, and she stole this hat or some piece of evidence. So this is my thing. I put this in the middle of the table. Each player then is going to look at the card that they have and see if it matches one of those. I guess you don't need to look at your card. Players will have a card here that says, yes, I have one of the pieces of evidence, or no, I don't have any. They will put those in this little case like this, and then those are put in the middle of the table, and they're mixed up, and then they're all revealed. Now in this one, so you can see 3 people don't have a piece of evidence, but 1 person did. So what we have just figured out is that one of these 4 things is legitimate. Starting with one player then, each player is allowed to secretly take one of their tokens and place it on the spot of one of the things here. So let's say, I'm pretty sure it's Mary Kingsley, so I put a token there. If someone else puts a token there, the first token is revealed. Haha, I put a 0 token there, I was just bluffing. At the end of the game, if you put these on the correct items, you will get 1 or 2 points, depending if you put them there. Although, and each area can only hold 4 tokens. You'll also get a bonus of 2 tokens if you have gotten if you have a token on all 4 of the clues. Now, if you turn these over and no one has any of them, all 4 of them are wrong, at that point we will take Sherlock Holmes business cards and cover up those 4 spots, basically saying that those 4 spots, there's no reason to put anything there, we know they're all wrong. As the person who's going, I can put my own in knowing it's correct, but maybe I want to kind of mess with the other players, so I won't put it in. At the same time, if I put one in that's incorrect, and so does everybody else, I've helped everybody and not helped myself at all. This will continue around until either somebody puts one together and it's all correct, at which point the game will immediately end because we know what the right answer is. Or on your turn you can make an official accusation, which if you're correct will give you 3 bonus points, but if you're incorrect takes you out of the game. Your tokens will stay on the board, but you are no longer involved in the game. So the game will end when either an accusation is correct or when a suspicion is correct. That's when you use the flip book. Or if everyone's out of the game except 1 person. So that's how you do it. You total up the points, and the player with the most points is the winner. I haven't yet played a game of this where if someone made an accusation and were correct, they haven't won. When you make an accusation and you're right, that was plus 3 points is a big deal. Putting the tokens down is a nice little mini game, and I like that. The deduction elements of this game are not that difficult. In fact, I played it with kids even, and they were able to kind of grasp the idea of who did what, when, where, and why. Not why, but with what or what have you. The game is not a complicated one. I actually like the little flipbook mechanic. That's a cool thing to have in a game. When you play with 3 or 5 players, the dynamic changes somewhat. When you play with 5 players, you will add 1 extra card from one of the decks. You don't know which it is, so there's 2 possible right answers. You only need to figure out one of them to end the game. So that's okay, but it plays better with 4. And then you can play with 3 players where one of the 4 things is not in the game, and so you just have to figure out the 3 that are. Again, not so well. This is kind of an odd duck in that you really got to play it with 4 players for it to work well. I'd say it plays better with 5 than with 3. So 4, 5, maybe 3. If you have 3 players, another option. But still, I kind of liked it because it was just a light deduction game. Not a lot of heavy lifting here. You're trying to figure out 4 things, putting out the tokens and guessing, and I guess you can have the background story. The theme works well. The rule book I wasn't very fond of because the rule book's Sherlock Holmes, like I said, being pretentious about his skill, condescending towards you, and that's fine. I don't mind that tone, but that's how the rule book's written, and I'd rather the rule book just be written like a rule book. Instead, he's like, well, as you know, you can do this, and la la la, but you might, and the way it's written, while it might be humorous, isn't the best way to write a rule book. But that's neither here nor there. I was able to figure it out. Artwork looks good, the whole thing looks good quality components. So I would recommend this to anybody who's looking for a lighter deduction game. I'm talking Clue level. The games like Sleuth and even Mystery of the Abbey is probably a little bit more, well, maybe it's the same as Mystery of the Abbey, but it is a cool theme. It is a unique game. Its limitingness, though, is the fact that it works really well with 4 and not much else. But if that's a group that you have often, I would look into this one, Lady Alice.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.